um, they're on the way coming. But what we may do is for us to continue with our class. As long as they're on the way coming, they will meet us somewhere. They'll meet us somewhere so that we should not waste time. But today's class, I'm just revising some of the issues that we discussed the other time. And those issues were about project appraisal issues. And when we talk about project appraisal issues, we described in detail that we want to assess the project viability. We want to assess the project viability. We want to see, is it viable for us to implement a project or not viable? So there is a lot of things that will be happening when it comes to selection of the appraisal issues. But here, we are not only focusing at the financial appraisal, as I said the other time, we are focusing at appraisal issues in general terms. And when you talk of financial appraisal, this is very similar to what we call it capital budgeting. And most of the people in the day, they know what it means by project appraisal, but they only find themselves doing the so-called financial appraisal. So financial appraisal, as I said the other time in the class, is that this is part of capital budgeting, and therefore it is important for us to know in our aspects when it comes to decision related to finance issues. So managers must be sensitive, just to revise that one. And I don't want to go back again to what we said, but I just want to recap what we discussed. And in our class, we demonstrated the computation of NPV and so on. But again, what we said and consideration for project appraisal, we said there are so many. And one of them is the social appraisal. Social appraisal is one of the aspects for project appraisal. Financial appraisal is another part of project appraisal. You have economic appraisal. You also have technical appraisal. You also have the institutional appraisal. You have the gender appraisal. You have the environmental appraisal. So for project planner must take into consideration when evaluating all these kind of things in a project, you must assess the condition. You must assess the condition. So we discussed this one the other time, and we went deeper. We went in detail, you see, and we examined on how we can find ourselves computing that one. So if you still have some problem, because we started by looking at the time value of money and on how we can go about it. For financial appraisal, we focused at NPV, internal rate of return, the payback period, profitability index, and the accounting rate of return. Those are the things that we find very common when it comes to financial appraisal. So financial appraisal by itself is core. Why? Because you are going to look at the cost, the benefits of your assets, of the investment, so that you should know how much is going to maximize welfare of the shareholders. So for that matter, we discussed this one in a class, and we demonstrated on how we can find ourselves computing, you see. And also we drew some examples for bigger projects that require financial appraisal. One of them is to look at the power plant project. Maybe you are setting up a power plant project. You need to appraise. you need to undertake financial appraisal, because that's might be for profit making or not. And it might be a school project. It might be a dam construction. It might be transport project. It might be farming. It might be yes. So what we say is no project. Someone is talking.
Lakini wale jamaa wanasema kazi ni kubwa sana kwa sababu peji ni 200. Na wakati tunapeleka walikuwa washafunga kiwanda.
Someone is talking, eh?
Mkweni asubuhi kesho.
Someone is talking. Please kindly watch out your mobile phone.
Someone need peace. Mute your mic.
Someone is talking and making noise. Someone is talking and making noises, so we could not get one another. If we are now in a class, so don't connect with other stuff. Don't connect yourself with other stuff. So what I said is we have already computed the net present value and also on how basically it can be in terms of computation. But we said the net present value is the most common one when it comes to evaluating the projects based on the financial appraisal. So most project planners prefer using the net present value, and out of that, then they may make a decision by looking at the cost and the benefits. Then with the time value of money, then it is where you undertake your project. It is where you can now make a decision and say you go or you don't go for project. And remember, you are borrowing money, you are using other people's money. So you are using money from the financial institutions. So if you're using money from financial institution, what are you going to do? You must consider the time value of money. You must consider the point of purchasing power that can be eroded due to inflation. And also you may consider issues like uncertainties and risks that are embodied within the project. So that's why we have to evaluate our project by using NPV. And the net present value is very common one. Many companies prefer using it. And when they use it, you find it out that it gives a clear decision and it maximizes welfare of the shareholders very easily. That is the decision. So we discussed that one over a given period of time. We discussed that one in our class. And I gave you the formula, I think, gave you the formula. If I'm not mistaken, let me share what we discussed in the class the other time. Let me share with you what we discussed. Okay. I think we discussed about that one, if I'm not mistaken. That was the formula that we discussed in our class. And we looked at NPV. How do we compute the NPV? We said the NPV is equal to initial investments plus cash flow at year 1 over 1 plus R. R is the interest rate, depending on the number of years. And that is the formula. So I don't want to repeat that one. And we derived on how we can make a decision about that one, to accept or reject. Once NPV is positive, and therefore you can accept the project. You can accept the project. And when it is negative, you can find yourself rejecting the project. So let's say again is that it takes into account the time cost of money. And many companies are using NPV in their decision making as a tool for investment decision. So it is important. We discussed that one in the class. And when we talk about the accounting rate of return, accounting rate of return. So the accounting rate of return is, this is the rate at which you have to find the break-even point. And what is happening here is not similar to the NPV. So we will see when we keep on discussing, we will see how internal rate of return differ from the net present value. So that is what we discussed in the class. We demonstrated the computation of present value and the computation of NPV in the class. So otherwise, if guys, you will have some questions regarding the NPV computation. For internal rate of return, we say this is the rate at which once you compute, you'll find it will give you the cash flow sum to zero. So it must sum to zero. So this is when the NPV is equal to zero. That is the desired internal rate of return for us. This is also applicable for company, but it is found through trial and error. You have to try maybe 10%, maybe 20%, maybe 30%, until it gives you the sum is equal to zero. That is the rate to which you may say now, this is the internal rate of return. This is the internal rate of return. Now, we say this is the measure of the pay of the project expressed in terms of percentage outlay. Yes, it is being expressed in terms of percentage outlay. So you look at that and you have to make a decision based on that. This is very similar to break-even point. So when you are breaking, it gives you I is equal to zero. That is the one. Now, it is derived from the NPV formula. It is derived from the NPV formula. And when we derive from the NPV formula, where NPV is equal to zero is equal to that formula, it is indicated there. We have discussed much in the class. We don't need to repeat that one. But make sure right here, all of this sum equal to zero. When this NPV sum to zero, that is the interest rate we are looking when we are computing the internal rate of return. When we are computing the internal rate of return, and this is what we will do. What you should do, number one is you look at the cash flow, and once you look at the cash flow, you specify the internal rate of return that is acceptable for you or for the investments. Then what you need to do is projects that are used in computing the cash flow needs to be carefully examined. So look at the cost, look at the cost of the project, look at the benefits, and then you can easily compute this one if you are smart in terms of deriving all those costs. So when we say what should be the decision criteria now for internal rate of return, most of the time we say when you find I is greater than R, that is the desirable project we are looking at. But when I is less than R, then we reject it. So, these are the idea we are looking at the project when we examine the project. So all this you may find through trial and error. So you just compute by making sure that you get that error that will give you the NPV is equal to zero. that is the one that we say this is the decision criteria for our project. So that's the point. But we say again, most of the companies are not, they are not in favor of using internal rate of return. And the most favored one is the so-called what? Net present value. That is very common. It is applicable to so many people, to so many companies and individuals. Almost 75% apply the so-called NPV in decision making, but they are not using the so-called internal rate of return. They are using internal rate of return. It represents about 25%. Someone is talking. Someone is talking. I think that's Stanley. Stanley, Ramsey, Stanley, you are talking. You are making a noise. Stanley, you are making a noise. Mute yourself. Mute yourself, please. Mute yourself. So that is what we could say when it comes to the rate of return. You will compute it and examine it by yourself, and making sure that you have the rate at which NPV go to zero. You will do what we have said in the class. How do you determine it? You need to derive and make this one equal to zero. So you may try maybe 10, maybe 5. Maybe 5. What about at 5? What about at 10? What about at 7? What about at 15? So it is involving guesswork. When you use a lot of guesswork, it's difficult to determine the situation. So, but we have to learn and we have to understand what are the situations. So IRR is very close tied to NPV, and as I said, this is the rate at which the NPV is going to be equal to zero. When NPV is equal to zero, that is the investments we are talking about, that it can be desirable or not desirable when we compute it. Now, we have also another one, the payback period. Internet problem. Okay. Internet is not good. Go. So, sorry, Robin, internet is not. Okay, now it's back. It's back right now. So this is when we use the payback period. Yes, people are using it. Even yourself, you are using it at home. You need to go for the bed at hand. And this is the amount of time necessary to recover an investment's initial outlay. So that is what you are looking at. So you go for quick money, but this again, you cannot use for huge investment. You cannot use it for the huge investment involving billion of money to make a decision about it. But managers are using to know which one will pay back. And the only problem, it has no time value consideration. So you can use it for small project, a small project, but for bigger project, it's not desirable because it will mislead the company, to mislead people. And only 5% of the people are using the payback period as a criteria for decision making regarding the project. So they are not using payback period as a tool for decision making. It's only 5%, as I said, it's only 5%. So if it is 5%, you can imagine And even yourself, if you have 1 billion and then you are using the payback period, you will mislead the company. So you need to be smart about that. You need to be smart. You need to be smart. So that is for the payback period. And what is the formula for the payback period? Of course, the formula for the payback period is initial investment outlay over annual cash flow. That is what we expect when we are computing it. So this is the method of appraisal. Simply takes and ask the questions: how long before I get my money back? So everybody is asking themselves, everybody is using this method. So for example, can you write down one of the example here? Can you write down one of the example here? Take your pen. Take your pen. Stanley, are you okay? Stanley, are you okay? Take your pen right now and also write down the following question. Assume a project cost 100,000 to implement. Are you writing?
Yes.
Assume a project cost 100,000 to implement and has the annual cash inflow annual cash inflow of 25,000. 25,000. Is the payback for the project. Yes. Can I get any volunteer? So you have a project cost 100,000 to be implemented, but it has annual cash inflow of 25,000. What is the payback period? This is very simple. You might be having an answer. Gloria, what did you do?
Yes.
What is your answer?
I was still writing the question. I'm not sure if I know what to do.
Write down the following. Assume a project costs 100,000 to implement. Is that okay?
Yes.
And has the annual cash inflow of 25,000.
Okay.
What is the payback period? So as I say, the payback period is quite simple. It's just the initial investment outlay over the annual cash flow. That is very simple. So you don't need to crack your mind much. And you have the answer now. You can tell me what is the answer, is it? What is the answer?
Sorry, sir. Can you please repeat the question?
Where have you been? I'm saying.
No, you have said assume the project cost 1,000.
100,000.
100,000 to implement, and has the annual cash flow of. I didn't hear. What is the payback period?
Yes. What is the payback period? And has the cash inflow?
I just want to know the annual cash flow.
Cash inflow of 24.
Yeah, how much is the cash inflow?
25,000.
Okay.
25,000.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. How much are you getting right now?
I mean, it's like 4 years.
Excellent. Clap your hands for yourself and others. I don't see people clapping hands. So that is the point. So basically, you just get the so-called initial investment outlay you divide by the cash flow, just like the way the formula is there, then it gives you the answer. And I can give you another question. I write it down again to see others, how are they going to perform. Assume a project costs 10,000 to be implemented, and it has the annual cash inflow of $700. What is the payback period? What is the payback period? Yes. Now, you can compute the payback period.
700.
You can compute the payback period and get that one at your. You can get that one.
Is it a 700,000?
700. 700 cash inflow. How much is the payback period? So you know about that. Now,
it might the payback period will be 14 years and 2 months, sir.
Okay. So when you are using the payback period, that one is going to be, is it good project or is it bad project? So you can make comparison. Those that have a payback period early, those are desirable for you to implement. Those are the projects that you can find yourself implementing. But if it takes much longer, then it might not be viable for you to implement. But as I said, many people are using it. We use it, but you cannot use it for bigger investments, because bigger investments consider the time value of money. And the time value of money is also very important for us to make a critical decision. Now, consider the following. Consider the following. Consider the following. This is question number 2. Write down. Consider the following, where you have column for years. You have column for years. You have column for years. You see that? Is everybody together?
Yes.
Yes, doctor.
So we have the first column is years. Draw that one. The second column is cash flow. The second column is the cash flow. Now let's start with the years column, the first column. You have year 0, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, let's go to the cash flow now. Cash flow. So cash flow, let's say we have negative 350. That is initial investment, okay? Negative 350. And the next is at year 1, cash flow is 100. Is that okay? Year 2
Yes.
is 200. Year 2 is 200.
Yes.
Year 3 is 150.
Year 3 is 450, sir.
Year 3, I said year 0, 350, negative. Year 1 is cash flow of 100. Year 2 is 200. Year 3 is 150. Year 4 is 75. 75. 75. So required. required. Compute net present value. Compute annual net present or annual present value. Compute annual present value. Assuming that the interest rate is 5%. Assuming that the interest rate is 5%. Roman 2, determine the net present value. Determine the net present value. Okay, so you have to do it. I give you 5. I give you 5 minutes. I give you 5 minutes to do that.
Sorry, sir, I don't have a data.
Mute yourself, please. Mute yourself. I give you 5 minutes to do that. I give you 5 minutes to do that.
I'm gonna miss. Ma'am? Sorry, sir, I don't have a data for you. Umekuwa mvivu post nje hata utoi mama. Post mwana nje utoi. Utatoa kesho. Leo na jana.
Gabriel Mwinuka. You are talking. You are talking. Mute yourself, please. You are mature person. Mute yourself. Mute yourself. Mute your. Have you finished? Have you finished the exercise? Have you finished the exercise? How much are you getting in terms of annual present value? How much are you getting? How much are you getting? The annual present value. How much are you getting the annual present value? How much are you getting? Tito Chorobi.
Yes.
Are you there? Why are you hiding yourself?
I didn't get the year 1, year 0.
Why you didn't ask? Year 0, I said.
I was asking. I was asking, but somebody was talking.
Okay, so it's 350 negative.
What?
350 negative.
350 negative.
Yes.
And year 1 is negative 50.
Year 1 is 100. Year 2 is 200. Year 3 is 150. Year 4 is 75.
Doctor.
Yes.
I am maybe I will have to go back to the notes, but in the meantime, I am failing to compute either of the following because I don't know how I can generate benefit. The only thing that I'm seeing is cash flow.
You have the cash flow.
That's why I am failing.
Cash flow, it means it.
Yeah, I only have cash flow.
Yes, cash flow. It has already been considered for everything. It has been considered for everything.
So by this cash
that
flow
is
means
your cash flow, your net.
So this cash flow. Okay, so that means we have taken the benefit minus the cost, is it?
Exactly. That's the cash flow.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What's up?
Yes. How much are you getting in year 0? How much would be the present value? Okay, how much is going to be? How much is that one? Alphonse? How much are you getting? How much are you getting, folks? Flavian. Binde. How much are you getting? How much are you getting? Yes, tell me how much are you getting? Okay, I give you some 2 minutes, continue working, then I'll come and I pick up anybody will tell me the answer. I give you 2 minutes more, work on it.
Mimi swali sisikii, sielewi. Kama kuna mwenye msaada tu anisaidie. Honestly, I'm trying to understand but I can't.
Glory.
Mm?
Si unachukua ile NPV Glory. Glory. Unachukua ile NPV table kwa sababu hii kama ni cash, hii ni cash flow. Umesikia?
Nakusikiliza.
Okay, unachukua hii cash flow ambayo iko hapa kama ambavyo alikuwa amefundisha last time. Unachukua ili uweze kupata sasa ile ambayo last time alikuwa anaifundisha, inaitwa discounted cash flow at hiyo 5%. Maana yake unachukua ile NPV table, si unaifahamu?
Mmefundishwa hichi kitu darasani?
Alifundisha ndio. Kwa kuna kitu inaitwa NPV table ambayo unaigoogle tu, ni net present value table. Iko tu mtandaoni. Okay. Ukishai Google inaonesha kabisa kwamba kwenye mwaka labda wa kwanza kwenye 5% ni kiasi gani. Kwa hiyo iko hivyo. Pastor Kachunga.
Labda online tutafundishwa tena.
Maybe. Lakini alifundisha hii, kwa hiyo kuna namna ya kucalculate ili uweze kupata hiyo net present value.
Okay.
Au engineer?
Hello. Isaya.
Engineer.
Isaya.
Sasa nitaka nikuulize swali. Hivi jinsi ya kucalculate ile NPV kwenye discounted cash flow pale, hiyo kwa 5%, unachukua ile 5% unazidisha na hii cash flow au unagawanya?
Hapana. Hiyo 5%
unafanya
Mwite Isaya, unanisikiliza?
Isaya, unanisikia?
Nakusikia.
Unanisikia Isaya?
Vizuri, nakusikia.
Unachokifanya, tafuta hiyo table ya discount table ya 5%.
Ninayo.
Ukishaipata, kama umeipata, sasa unaanza kuchukua hiyo cash flow ya year 1 una times na hiyo discount value ya hiyo 5% katika the same year.
Umepata negative 333 kwenye year 0?
Ndio. Hapana.
Pastor Kachunga.
Yes. Naam.
Mimi NPV table nilionayo inaonyesha kwenye mwaka okay. Sorry. Nimekosea. Inanionyesha maana yake hapa itakuja 0. Mwaka 1 inaonyesha 90 kwako.
Namba data. Mwaka 1 95.24.
Nataka uniambie kuhusu mwaka 0. Mwaka 0 itakuwa ngapi?
Negative 350.
Itakuja ile negative 350 Basi nashukuru, nitaka ni confirm hiyo. So Glory. Ingia kwenye Google. Ingia Google. Download kitu andika pale NPV table
117.
Upo?
Imani, habari za jioni. Nataka niwapeni njia rahisi zaidi ya kupata hizo value hata kama hauna table. Kitu ambacho unapaswa kufanya, kwa mfano umeambiwa 5%, chukua calculator yako, which is normal calculator, sio lazima iwe scientific. Unaandika 1, unagawanya kwa hiyo asilimia uliopewa. Kwa mfano kama umepewa 5%, maana yake inakuwa ni 1 divide by 1.05. Kama umepewa say 10%, utachukua 1 kudivide kwa 1.1. Na jibu la kwanza unalolipata itakuwa ni year 1. Maana yake kwenye period siku zote itakuwa ni year 1.
Sijakuelewa.
Chukua calculator yako.
Sawa, niko nayo.
Chukua calculator yako. Kwa mfano kwenye swali tumepewa 5%, si ndivyo ndio interest rate So instead ya kuangalia na table, tumia calculator kirahisi sana. Kumbuka siku zote year 0 lazima utazidisha mara moja. Yaani hiyo haibadiliki. Year 0 ni value uliopewa, utazidisha mara moja, haibadiliki. Lakini kuanzia year 1 unachukua 1 kwenye calculator yako, unaandika 1, una divide by 1 kujumlisha ile asilimia. Kwa hiyo kwa mfano kama ni 5%, maana yake si 0.05. Sawa? Maana yake itakuwa ni 1 gawanya kwa 1.05. Jibu la kwanza utakalolipata itakuwa ndo year 1. Ukibonyeza tena sawa sawa kwenye calculator yako, jibu utakalolipata itakuwa year 2. Kadiri unavyozidi kubonyeza sawa sawa kwenye calculator yako, ndio inazidi kukupa miaka inayoendelea.
Okay, so you might have the right answer. What do you have? The present value at year 1? How much is that one? Flavian? Is not in Stanley, Awaki. Isaiah. What do you have?
Year 1 is 95, sir. 95.
95, year 1.
Yes.
95 kamili or what?
Kamili.
Okay. What about year 0?
NPV.
What is the present value?
Year 0, we have calculated it is negative 350.
Year 0 is negative.
Yeah, good. That is the point. You have 350, so that's the answer actually.
Yes.
What do you have at tier 2? What about at tier 2? Year 2?
181.
Point something, is it? You must be getting 101 point something. Sio kamili. Okay. Next, how much are you getting? How much are you getting? Kileo, how much are you getting?
129.6.
Eh? Well, yes, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. You're getting how much? 129?
I'm getting 133.
It's 129.6. That's
133.
No, 129.6.
100?
Check your computation.
129.6.
Yeah, that's okay. And then the last one? The last one is how much?
123.5.
The last one is how much?
123.5.
Year 4.
Yeah.
At 75. 75. Yesaya, how much are you getting?
Somebody is talking.
Yes.
Yeah, she's talking about fish. Wewe unaikula samaki, weka
Someone is
mute.
talking with kids.
I am
Someone
getting
is talking with kids at home right now.
61.725.
That is good. That is good. That is very good. That's the answer actually. That is the answer.
I am getting 61.725, sir.
It's okay. That's approximate to be similar. It's okay. It's okay. Now, I think everybody is getting what is supposed to be done under that one. So you can use your personal calculator. You can use Excel computation, and you may find yourself it is very useful. Let me give you another question that you may find also it is useful for yourself. Take down the following. Take down.
I'm sorry, doctor.
Yes.
We have already answered the column 1 of the question that you asked us to compute, but
yes.
Item number 2, which is determine the net present value.
Yes.
You have not asked us the answer.
Yes, the answer, just like the way we did in the class. So what you need to do is you add up those ones. The present value, when you add those, the present value, that is the NP. That is their NPV. So this is very similar to what we discussed in the class. Are we together?
Yes.
Okay, another question.
Yes.
Another question. Should I give you another question? Or maybe I reserve this one?
Yes.
Okay, so consider the following. Project with the cash flow. Consider the following project with the cash flow. You have year 0. You have years, of course, year 0, 1, 2. Year 0, and then year 1, year 2. Then let's go to the cash flow. Let's go to the cash flow. We have minus 100. Minus 100. And then year 1 is 60. Year 2, is 60. Okay. Now, have you seen that? Have you done that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Required. Compute net present value that is 1. 2, compute the internal rate of return. Compute the internal rate of return. Compute the internal rate of return. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So there is just a technical issue, but what you are supposed to do is when you are computing, you can compute now your NPV, but again, how do we get the internal rate of return? Is through guessing, trial and error, okay? Trial and error. So you will compute your NPV.
Error.
You will have to, yes.
Error. Error.
Yes, yes, I.
Sorry, item number 1 of asked us to compute the NPV.
Yes.
I just want to know at what interest rate?
Now that one is hidden.
At
You
what
don't know.
interest rate?
You don't know. You will have to find it by yourself. You will have to find by yourself. Remember one thing, through guesswork, when we compute, you can use guesswork to determine the NPV. Then you rearrange, okay? You rearrange that one. So for example, I'm just giving you the technique that you can do. You can have a column for the rate, okay? You can have the column for the rate, and then you can have a column for the NPV, okay? So you start with rates. You can assume, what if R is equal to 0? What will happen? What will be the NPV? You will get it. And when the R is equal to maybe 5%, what will happen? You see? When it is 10%, what will happen? And so on and so on and so on. So you will have to make a decision between the variables by making assumptions that are very clear. So that, you know, when you do trial and error, you will need to know the investments. The investment, desirable investment, it will be between a certain level that you think R must be equal to 0. That will be the desirable for you to determine that one. So you do the trial and error that will bring about 0 NPV. Then you can compute what will be the value for the NPV. And the most important thing, what we say is, as I said, if required rate of return is less than internal rate of return, then you will have to accept. And also, if the required rate of return is equal to internal rate of return, you are indifferent. That is, you're indifferent. And if required rate of return is greater than the internal rate of return, then you can also reject about that one. So for that one, I say you will do it by yourself. I will not give you the answer. until we meet next week. But you can still use Excel to determine all this by using Excel function. It can help you, and it is much easier for you when you are computing all these kind of things. It is much easier. So that is what we are talking about right here, about the computation.
Sorry, sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, is it possible if you have a rate of if we try to use the ARR to rate mutual exclusive projects?
Yes, you can do that. You can do that. For mutual exclusive projects, you can use the internal rate of return. And you can also determine the computation. Someone is Rafi. Who is this? Shaushi. Shaushi, I think you are making a noise. Watch yourself. You are making noise, disturbing the class. Mute yourself. Mute yourself. It's much better. You are matured. And if you repeat this, then it will be difficult for you to find discussing again through online. Let us discipline ourselves, okay? So you can go for mutual exclusive project. You can still compute the internal rate of return. And of course, when we meet next time, we will go deeper again to look at those projects, the internal rate of return, and we will come back again when we shall be talking about the time value of money. We'll come back to the same concept until we get used on the computations and so on regarding that one, because there are so many ways that we can use to determine the projects, and we can compare projects and decide what we are supposed to do by ourselves when we are looking at projects, and that is the point that we are focusing at projects. So we will discuss much. Before we continue, let me say something right here. Let me finish first this one, then we will continue again. So you can read by yourself regarding the accept, reject methods as per payback period, the advantages and disadvantages of payback period. You can read by yourself. There are other procedures that people are also using, like the accounting rate of return. These are based on the accounting methodology, accounting information. And what you need to do is the accounting rate of return. It gives you the average annual profit over average investment. And what is the average annual profit is the total projected profit after depreciation and before interest and tax and dividends. You divide by the estimated life of the project. So, and you have also the average investments in terms of the initial investments plus the value of investments at the project end, divide by 2. For the accounting rate of return, these are based on the accounting information. So therefore, it might be misleading. Very few people are using it to make investment decision, and is not much desirable when they make investment decision. As I said earlier, that the most common method that many companies are using is the net present value, and that is very common for so many companies. Apply that one. But for this accounting rate of return, it is based on the accounting information, and therefore might be misleading, because you need to get the average annual profit and divide by the average investments, of which those are the information to which you will have to put when it comes to making decision. What will be the accept or reject criteria for accounting rate of return? Is you will only accept if project accounting rate of return is greater than the minimum required rate of return. So this will be the point for you to accept or reject. And you can reject a project accounting rate of return less than the minimum required return rate of return. And so the only thing is that this method, it looks at the profitability of the project. So you will need to understand. It is very simple to compute, and also it is based on the profitability, but the only problem it is based on the accounting information that have been generated so that you can evaluate the investments. So there are advantages and also disadvantages. There are so many financial appraisal issues. We also have another one, that is the profitability index. The profitability index defines the ratio of present value of an investment's expected positive net cash flow to outlay. So that profitability index is just like the way it is under there. You can see the formula for the present value of expected net cash flow over initial investment. So you will have to compute the PV, expected net cash flow over initial investments. That will give you the so-called the profitability index. Again, this is not very much common when people are computing by using or to make investment decision. But you will see them when you are reading through theories, and there's so many issues, you will see them. So when you see for good managers, yes, they don't use the profitability index. You prefer using, I would suggest you go for net present value. I would just suggest you go for internal rate of return, but don't go for the rest when you are about to make a decision regarding your investment, because with NPV, you can play around with the formula, even if you don't have interest rate, so you can still compute the interest rate that is desirable for investments. And remember, the NPV is additive by nature, so you can use it very fine when it comes to making decision regarding the project. So for the next time, we will go deeper and deeper and deeper. We will talk about the time value of money in detail and the other methodology, because we only talk about financial appraisal, but we need to get again deeper the components of it, one after the other. We will go deeper, and we will talk about the time value of money again, just like the way we have said. And what I want you to do today, prepare yourself for the test next week. Test is going to be very general. Prepare yourself. Test is going to be very general. And when it is general, it means you will need to work hard, okay? Because we are running behind the time. Do you have any question? The test area of concentration, read everything, okay? What we have discussed, which place we visited, what you saw regarding the projects, the nature of questions that we have been discussing, and also, so for me, at the level of masters, questions will be about applications. It's not all about claiming. I want, after you have left your books, after you have left everything, now you are empty-handed. Now it is where you need to ask yourself, what do you know? Actually, what do you know regarding project appraisal? What do you know regarding project identification and so on? What do you know? What do you know? And that is for matured people, because you are not undergraduate students whom you can give them instruction and give them an area of concentration. Area of concentration is read everything and concentrate what you have been doing in a class, and also concentrate the discussion. Is that okay? Is that okay, folks?
Yes.
As I can see, we are running shortage of
Yes.
time. Yes.
You can, sir.
Yes, please. Before it turn it off by itself, let's continue talking.
Sir.
Yeah.
If it pleases you, we understand that you have taught us very well, and we are very grateful for that. But if you can trust us, instead of giving us the entire area of concentration, if it pleases you, if we find favor before you, you can just reduce, trusting us that we will do better. Just trust us and reduce the areas of concentration.
I trust
Maybe
you.
let's say 1 or 2 topics.
I trust you, and that's why I said make a concentration. And my test is all about general. It's not about claiming, mentioning the advantages, disadvantages. No. It's after you have left your pen at home. Now, what you are remaining with is the appraisal issues, or is the so-called project identification and plan design. So that is what we will be talking about in terms of general questions. Will be general questions, not difficult questions. Nobody will get 0 and nobody will get 100%. This is what I'm sure about it. Nobody will get 0, nobody will get 100%. But read everything that we have been discussing in the class. That's very important. Read everything in the class, in our discussion, in online classes. Concentrate to those ones. Those are the points you need to look at. But giving you the area of concentration, specifically which topic, that one I cannot give you, because otherwise I will be mishandling master's students. Master's students, you don't need to claim. You need to tell us, what do you understand? What did you learn? What did you learn? Develop some issues, okay? You need to develop some issues, prepare some issues. You see, that is for the master's students. So you need to, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Okay? Yes. Should I say, I wish you the best?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Sorry, sir. I have something to say.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to know the modality of doing this kind of test, because some of us, we are far away from Arusha or Dar es Salaam. So how we are going to do this?
A modality of test. For those people who are very far,
hello?
I think for those people who are far, what I will do, I will give you the timed test. I will give you the timed test. Timed test meaning that it will be through the Moodle. So I will do anytime. I need to know how many are you. I will have to give you special timed test. Is that okay? Ezekiel Mokiami, you have disappeared.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, yeah, we'll make consideration.
No, I'm around.
You're around?
I'm around.
All right, good.
Yes.
All right. So that is the point. And another person, but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It may be heavy assignment.
Sure.
It might be heavy assignment with the time, but again, someone will be passing over to assess you. So that is another thing to consider. Okay? Another person?
Yep.
All right. Guys, may I say I wish you the best for today. Until we meet next week. during the test hours. But for those who will not be able to do the test, we will continue with our class. So we shall be having online classes, and the notes will be posted to you. You can retrieve by yourself by next week. And those people who are online, they can find it very useful. Others will be doing test. When you get out of test, you'll find some lectures online that are very useful for you. It is the same lecture that we can use by the time when we are in a physical or traditional classes. Thank you, guys. I wish you the best. Enjoy your time for today. Bye.
Amina, Mungu akubariki sana.
Thank you.